Hello and welcome to the third experiment of CSE 162 Computer Programming Laboratory. In this experiment, we will talk about functions and recursions. Functions are one of the most useful and powerful tools of computer programming. Whatever computer programming language you're using, function is one of the most used patterns or most used blocks or most used tools in programming. So, what's the function of a function? What function does is it can perform a specified task, and when you are performing the same task in the same code over and over again, you can just write the function, and without writing the same code over and over again, you can just call the function and the function will do your job. That's basically the idea of the function. A C program itself can be seen as a compilation of functions, because whenever we write a simple C program, we have to write a main function which we declare as int main. Right, so you can see a C program as a compilation of functions. So function can be of two types. The first one is actually user defined type, and the second one is default functions, which we use, such as printf, scanf. These are default functions, and other functions that we can write will be seen in this experiment, how we can write the functions of our need. So without any delay, let's get started with the functions. So how to write a function? You have already learned a bit about function from your theory class, I expect. So I don't want to go into the detail about how to write functions, what are the types, what are the specifications. I don't want to go there. Just a little bit of detail. A function should have a return type. If it is not returning anything, then your function should be a void type. Void. That means it is not returning anything. That's fine. Then you have to write down the name of the function. Let's say the function's name is let's say display, and then a parenthesis, first bracket. Inside of first bracket, you have to declare the input parameters. There can be no input parameters, that's fine. It can be left empty, but in some programs you might want some parameters to fit in. You can actually compare this with our regular function declaration. A function is said to be f of x, y equal f of x. So y is the return value here. In the case of writing a function in C program, you don't explicitly declare y. You just declare the type of y. Here void means the value that will be returned, or the thing that will be returned from this function is void type. That means it is not returning anything. Then you have to declare the name of the function. You can see if this is the name of the function, so display. And inside of display, inside of the first bracket, you can put your input parameters, if any. Okay, so let's just see one basic function. Let's say we want to add two integer numbers, and the output will be integer as well. Let's say our two numbers will be 3 plus 5. We want to add them. Okay, so we can add them in various ways in C program, but we want to write a function for adding and then use that function to add them. So obviously the function we will use to add these numbers will return an integer, of course, because it will return the output as the sum of the two numbers. So we have to write int, because this function will return an integer type value, because it will take two inputs and then sum them and then just give it out. So the output type will be int. The name of the function, let's say sum, or let's say my sum. Then inside of the first bracket, you have to declare the variables that will be used inside the function. So inside the function, there will be two numbers, and you will add these two numbers. So there will be two numbers, both of int type, so int a and int b. You can put whatever value whatever name you want here, that doesn't matter. Then inside the function, first bracket as usual, our regular syntax. Inside the function, you have to declare the necessary variables that will be used. In our case, it will be val. Val is simply the sum of a and b. We are declaring val. You can put in it whatever name of the variable you want. It doesn't matter. One thing to note: this val variable is only known to this mySum function. You cannot expect this variable val to work outside this function. So be very careful about it. whatever functions you are declaring inside the, whatever variables you are declaring inside the functions will be available to the function only, and not it's not available globally. If you want some variable to work inside all the functions of your code, you have to declare a global variable. Okay, so in val, so what will be my answer, or what will be my output? It will be val equals to a plus b. Okay, now we have to return the value. We have used this syntax return 0 in our regular codes. Return 0 means this will return 0. In our case, we will return the sum of two numbers, so we will write return val. So now whenever we are writing a code and we want two numbers to be added, let's say we have a main function here also, int main. In this function we somewhere have two variables, x equal to 5 and y equal to 3, and we want to add them. So what we will do, we will just simply call this function mySum. Let's say sum is our output variable, sum is equal to mySum, and we have to just input x and y. That's all. This x will be regarded as a in the function, and this y will be mapped to b in the function. The output variable val will be saved in the sum, and you can just print the sum afterwards. Okay, so this is the workflow of a function and how we can use the function. So let's go into our first program, or our first exercise today. So our first exercise asks us to write a program to determine the power of a number. That means the base is given, let's say the base is a, and the power is also given, the power is b. This a and b will be scanned from the user. That means it is available to us. We will just write a function at first to determine the power, and then we will use this function in our main code. Okay, so we will declare the name of the function as power, simply power. So our function will return a to the power b. We are only including integer numbers here. The base will be integer, the power will be integer, and the output will be also an integer. So the output type is int. The name of the function is power, and two inputs are integer a and integer b. You can use whatever variable you want. Then inside of the code, you have to write the function or the calculations of determining the power. Let's say we declare a variable here, int val. This val will store the power. So what will be my workflow? What does the power mean? A to the power b, this actually means multiplying a b times. So whenever we are doing some operation repeatedly, we know we have to use the loop. We are going to use for loop here. So let's declare the loop controlling variable i2. So int I comma val, two variables declared. I is for loop control and val is for outputting the power of a number. So we are using for loop here. For loop, I will start from 1. It will continue up to b, because we are going to multiply this a b times. So b, and then this I will be incremented by 1 in every loop. So another set of curly braces. So here what we need to do is we have to just use the val, and we have to update the val by multiplying a with it in every iteration. That's it. So at first we can declare the val as 1. So it is 1 initially. So let's say our input is 2, a is 2 and b is 3. That means this I will start from 1. It will increment as 1 at each step, because there is I++, and it will end at 3. So at first I is 1. So at the first iteration the val will be 1 into a is 2, so 2, because the val is initially set to 1. So val equal to the previous val multiplied by a is the new val. So new val will be 2. In the next step I will be increased to I++, so 1 plus 1, it will be now 2. It is I equal to 1. In I equal to 2 step, the val will be previous val multiplied by our a is 2, so this 4. Now I will be 3, and val will be old val multiplied by a equal to 8. So as I is equal to b or 3 now, so we don't need to iterate more. That is our final answer 8. We have to return this by using a return command. There is a lack of space. I just writing it here. Return. Just have to return the val. That's all. Then we can obviously use this function whenever we want in our main function. I'm just showing a snippet here, not getting in details. Let's say you have a main function, and inside the main function you have two variables. Let's say x is 3 and y is 4. You have taken them from the user, of course, using the scanf function. Now you want to determine the result, or the x to the power y. What we will do is, let's say the result will be saved in res variable. So res will be equal to power. A is x here, so x, and d is y here, so y. That's all. So the power 3 to the power 4 will be saved in the res variable. That's all. Let's see the code and get some more insight. So here's the code. You can see the main function is declared here. In the main function we will use our power function. So let's see the power at first. So int, because it is returning an integer type value. So int, the name of the function is power, and inside the function we will use two variables a and b. A is the base and b is the power. So we are declaring two variables I and res. So I'm just switching variables here. In the explanation I used val here, but we are using res here. It doesn't matter what variable you are using, whatever name you are using, doesn't matter. So use whatever name you are comfortable with. I'm using res, so int I and res equal to 1, because res will be the output variable of this function. So we are setting this to 1, and then we are declaring the loop using I. I will start from 1 and end at b. B is the power. At each iteration we will multiply res with a. So at the end of the iteration, the a variable will be multiplied b times. That is actually a to the power b, and the rest will be returned. In the main function we have again two numbers. One is num and another one is pow. Num is of course the base and pow is the power, and output will be val. We are writing 4 lines of code to take the values of num and pow from the user, and this is the 1 line of code to determine the power. So val is equal to power. Power is the name of the function, and the inputs are num and pow. This num will be defined as a inside the function, and this pow will be defined as b inside the function. So val equal power num comma pow. So the val will be the output of this function. So the output res will be mapped to this val, and finally we can just print it out. Let's check our code whether it is okay or not. I am running the command, running the program. So let's say our number, the base is let's say 4, and our power is let's say 2. The output should be 16. Yes, the result is 16. Let's check with a larger number and base. Enter the number. Let's say our number is 6 and the power is 4. It's 1296. Hope this is the right answer. So this is our first problem of this experiment 3. We will meet in the next video with our next exercise problem. Thank you.